Saquon Barkley is a rare breed. He's a generational running back who I believe has the talent to become the greatest running back we have ever seen. This is my argument for why Saquon Barkley can go down as the greatest running back of all time. Before I give you my argument for why Saquon Barkley can be the GOAT, Gronk spike the like button, subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this, and comment below your opinion on Saquon. Do you think he can really become the greatest running back we have ever seen? Saquon is everything you want in a modern day NFL running back. He has explosive speed that he can take the football from anywhere on the field and take it to the house. He has insane lateral agility to jump cut and to make guys miss an open field. He has the strength. He has the power to evade defenders and just stiff arm them to the ground. Saquon Barkley can catch the football. He has passing game prowess. He has the hands. He has the route running ability. There is really nothing that Saquon cannot do, and he's only just entering his second year of his NFL career. He really is the evolution of the running back position. He has the running ability, he has the pass catching ability, and he has the demeanor. He has everything, absolutely everything you want in a face of a franchise, in your best player, and in the best running back in football. When I watch Saquon Barkley, I see a mix of two of the greatest running backs and two of my personal favorite running backs in NFL history. I see a mix of LaDainian Tomlinson, the power, the speed, the work ethic, and really the pass catching ability, all that LT brought to the game. LT had this unique kind of power in his game and kind of ruthlessness to his game that I think you also see in Saquon Barkley as well. And then when you combine that with some of the agility and some of the side-to-side ability and some of the jump cuts that he can do, a lot of it is like Barry Sanders in a way. I think this guy, when you really compare the body shapes, Saquon's a bigger guy. He's about 6 foot tall, but Barry Sanders at only like 5'8", 5'9", he was making crazy jump cuts, and he's arguably the greatest running back of all time. Just the way that he could get away and make defenders miss. And you see that same thing with Saquon Barkley. Just turn on the tape from 2018, and you're going to see much more of it in 2019. He is the greatest running back, young running back we have seen since Adrian Peterson. He's the greatest running back prospect we have seen since Adrian Peterson, back when Adrian Peterson really took the NFL by storm. Saquon Barkley, immediately when he entered the NFL, became the best running back in football. He surpassed Ezekiel Elliott. He surpassed Todd Gurley and all the other guys that were ahead of him. You saw it. I knew this guy was the guy. I knew this guy was the best in football immediately. As soon as you saw him run for 50 plus yards, evading Jacksonville Jaguars defenders. This isn't any mediocre defense. Outrunning the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, maneuvering and getting away from the Jacksonville defense is something that not many running backs can do besides Derrick Henry. But Saquon Barkley, I mean, he just showcased right away, and he continued to showcase why he's not only the best running back in football, but the best young running back we have seen since the Hall of Famer Adrian Peterson. Even Adrian Peterson has kind of given his blessing to Saquon Barkley as that next great running back in the NFL. We've seen some really decent, like really good running backs over the past few years, but none of them have come close to the potential and the skill, pure ability that Saquon Barkley possesses to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest running back in NFL history. Saquon Barkley, I'm going to go back to this. He is the evolution of the running back position. He's taking bits of some of the greatest running backs of all time. He's taking a little bit of LT, a little bit of Barry, a little bit of Marshall Faulk, a little bit of Adrian Peterson, and he's molding it into one player. And that's just what happens when you see the evolution of athletes and the evolution of football and evolution of sport. Saquon Barkley already has some pretty impressive records to his name, which makes me believe that he is going to continue to rack up these records going forward. When you look at it, he has the most catches by a rookie running back in one season, 91. He has the most 100-yard games by a rookie, 12. 12 out of 16. That's pretty impressive. He has the most yards by a rookie in general. That's rushing and receiving combined, over 2,000 yards. He led the NFL in 2018 in that category in combined yardage. He has the most 50-yard touchdowns, tied with Randy Moss with 5. So not only is he a guy that can carry the football 20 to 25 times and be that workhorse, not only is he a guy that can catch 10 to 15 passes if you really need him to, given on the game plan, given the opponent, but he can also 1 or 2 carries a game, take that thing 50 yards or take that thing 30 yards, even past that point, and get a huge gain, a huge touchdown. So Saquon Barkley, once he's in the open field, you are not catching this man. Not to mention, he was a Pro Bowler in 2018. He was the FedEx Ground Player of the Year, and of course, he was the Rookie Player of the Year. The guy did all of this. He really did everything you want from a rookie and more without even fumbling the football. So not only is Saquon Barkley extremely efficient, but he doesn't turn the football over. And I believe he only fumbled in his college career in 3 seasons 3 or 4 times. So that's pretty impressive. This guy does not fumble. He does not turn the football over. And like a guy like Adrian Peterson, he was known early in his career for fumbling the football in some key moments, while Saquon Barkley is not. Which, if he continues to play at this level with fumbling is, minimum as possible, then Saquon Barkley, that's only going to add to his legacy and add to his talent. Now, there are a few points to this argument why Saquon Barkley can be the greatest of all time that I think are very important to bring up. The first one is that Saquon Barkley in his first season played behind a horrendous offensive line and was as good as he was. Now, there's a common argument for some of the greatest running backs of all time, like Walter Payton and Barry Sanders, who didn't play behind great offensive lines or really have great supporting casts, and that's kind of elevated their status in a lot of people's minds as great running backs. And I totally agree with that argument. So that being said, everybody is blaming Eli Manning's struggles in New York on the offensive line. Well, if that's the case, then you have to even elevate what Saquon Barkley has been able to do early in his career because of this terrible offensive line. He really had a really bad offensive line and was still averaging 5 yards a carry, still running for 50-plus yard gains, still leading the league in all-purpose yardage. So that is impressive. Then you have to add to this that Saquon Barkley is playing with no threat of a quarterback throwing the football down the field. Eli Manning is not throwing 30-plus yards down the field. He's going to throw maximum 25 yards, and he's even really scared at this point in his NFL career to get hit and to throw the football deep. That's why they let go of Odell. They traded him. They're focusing on all short passes, and Saquon Barkley is the sole focus of this offense. He's the sole focus of the franchise. He's the sole focus of the passing game and the running game, which is only going to help him add to those totals, but also it's going to hurt him in regards to he's not going to have a receiver on the outside that's going to be able to stretch a defense, and he's not going to have a quarterback. I don't even know if Daniel Jones is going to be that guy to be able to throw the ball deep and to stretch a secondary out. So if he's still having success with everybody packing the box and everybody playing against him in the box, which is what defenses were doing to him at late last season, then, this guy is going on legendary status, similar to what we saw with Adrian Peterson when he had Christian Ponder as his quarterback in 2012 in that great season he had. Saquon Barkley, unlike an Adrian Peterson or a LaDainian Tomlinson, two of the best running backs, in my opinion, of the 2000s, he is actually playing in a market where you can actually market him as a great player and you can push him as this all-time great status of a player. Now, he plays in New York, which has extreme media attention. It's going to bring superstar fame, and this is a guy that everybody seems to like. So everybody gravitates towards him. New York is going to embrace him, and he's going to be like their Spider-Man, their superhero of New York, for the New York Football Giants, and I think that's only going to help his legacy. Unlike a guy like LaDainian Tomlinson, who was absolutely phenomenal throughout his career, but he played in San Diego, so it didn't really matter that much because nobody really talked about him. And especially the East Coast media never really got to see him as much as, they would have liked, or they didn't really pay as close attention to him because he didn't play on the East Coast. So that being said, New York is a big thing here for this argument. He has possible longevity to his career because he's playing in this era where training is different. It's more upgraded. It's like unlike anything ever before. The science is really moving positively in this sport direction, and we're seeing athletes like Tom Brady playing forever, and the health of athletes is only getting better, and the surgeries and the injuries are only recovering faster, which is only going to help Saquon Barkley going forward to the end of his career. We're seeing a guy like Frank Gore play into like nearly his 40s. So it's crazy, but Saquon Barkley could play until he's in his late 30s and even in his 40s if he's really adding to those numbers at the end of his career. A prime is very important, but if you can add the longevity, that is huge. Because a lot of these all-time great running backs, like Jim Brown and Barry Sanders, who I personally consider the two greatest running backs of all time, they did not have that 10 plus years of longevity. Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, these guys did, but they also didn't have the primes of Barry and Jim. So if Saquon can somehow have a close prime to Barry and Jim, but have the longevity of an Emmitt Smith, then that would put him in a different class in terms of longevity, in terms of his legacy and Hall of Fame GOAT status. Saquon Barkley is a part of the social media age, which means that athletes within the social media age, they are hyped up more. They are given more credit. We've seen what the social media age has done to some athletes like LeBron James in regards to the GOAT argument. In my personal opinion, LeBron James's feats, while this isn't an NBA channel, do not come close to Michael Jordan's, but because he's within the social media age, because this is the latest on our minds, and because we see highlights of him all the time, he's more readily available to watch in terms of highlights or online or in the social media age. Everybody talks about him constantly. That makes him, in terms of legacy, go up notches. We see more of him. He's more in our mind. He's more in our consciousness, which is the same reason why Saquon Barkley is going to have an advantage over a guy like Barry Sanders or even a guy like LaDainian Tomlinson. Now, the last point I really want to touch on in terms of Saquon Barkley is the number one reason why he can be the greatest of all time and why any football player can be the greatest of all time. His attitude. Saquon Barkley, in the same way that Tom Brady pushes himself, Saquon Barkley, you can clearly tell this guy wants to be the greatest running back of all time. He has prerequisite number one. He wants it. He has the drive to do it. There are some players that are extremely talented at the running back position that just simply are not pushing themselves to get to that spot. Now, there are a lot that are, but there are not a lot that have that drive and have that talent to be able to put it together and to make it happen. So Saquon Barkley, he has everything that you want in a running back in the modern age. He has every reason to become the greatest of all time. He is just going to have to put the longevity together. And I think that Saquon Barkley can be the greatest running back that we have ever seen. Comment below your opinion on this debate. Do you think Saquon Barkley can go down as the greatest running back of all time? Comment, like, subscribe. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch of TheBottomLineView. Peace out.